Now, during the month of November 2009 through January of 2010 of this year, a pattern emerged of elderly women being robbed on the northwest side of the city of Milwaukee. Many of them were robbed outside their homes. Some of them were even pushed into their homes and robbed. Obviously, a great fear-inducing crime wave, as well as a serious crime on its own rights. Now, District 7 officers and detectives from CIB were under pressure to form a plan to stop this particular chain of crimes, and they did. So today I want to specifically recognize Detectives Dale Borman and Scott Schmitz, along with police officers Kieran Sawyer. Kieran?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and Darcie Trunkel. Now, Officer Trunkel looks a little bit different today, but I want to show you a picture of her. This is what she looked like at her senior prom. No, that's not her senior prom picture. This is what she looked like when she became the elderly victim of an attack by a career criminal. We put her out there. We put an officer inside the grocery store to work as a bag boy, and she became our victim for the Northwest Side. Now, one thing I would like our criminal community to know is that every senior citizen you see walking slowly around down the street is probably a Milwaukee police officer, and you shouldn't mug them. But in the meantime, in this case, it definitely was a Milwaukee police officer. So the detectives and the officers identified the crime pattern. These elderly people were being followed home from the grocery store. Officer Sawyer conducted the surveillance, and he's the one that went undercover at the grocery store as the bag boy. And he's young enough, I think you'll understand why he was able to pull that feed off. And Officer Trunkel posed as our shopper, and the suspect struck. We had set up in a house that was not occupied, and sure enough, as she was trying to go into that house, she was attacked when the suspect kicked in the door of the house that she had just entered, and officers were able to swoop in. Wendell Evans was charged with 9 counts of robbery, as well as burglary and theft. And I want to commend District 7 Captain Jessup for organizing this plan and to setting these officers and detectives on the path to having a successful outcome. So just remember, once again, if you're a criminal and you see a senior citizen, they're a cop. Okay, the same time this was going on, we had another criminal crew working the Northwest Side. This time it was robberies of Walgreens at gunpoint. They hit several drugstores in January, terrorizing employees at gunpoint. Now, good intuitive police work put detectives Eric Donaldson, Eric, there you go, Brett Houston, and police officer Brian Brusso at the right place at the right time, near the freeway where they figured our desperados would flee. The 3 saw the suspect vehicle and pursued it into a fast food parking lot. But here, good police work also has to give way to the care and concern for the surrounding community. Worried that a gunfight might ensue because these individuals were reported armed, they did not immediately attempt to engage them, but first blocked them in with their vehicle. They then pulled them out of the vehicle, locked them up, and also recovered evidence that linked them to this particular crime. Later, Detective Patrick Paget, here we are, okay, he's the kind of guy you would want to tell the truth to. Detective Patrick Paget obtained a confession that led to the case going to the DA for review. Now, we're still looking for one more suspect in this case. His name is Michael Irvin. You have his wanted poster, which I hope you'll display. But we do want to say that having this kind of work done by our officers, we hope to have him in custody soon, and we would urge any members of the community who would like to see his career in drugstore robberies end to please give us a call. I now would like to spend a moment and introduce Milwaukee County District Attorney John Chisholm, who gets to have the fun of prosecuting these individuals.
Thanks, Chief. Right behind
There you are. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chief. I also wish to commend the outstanding work of the Milwaukee Police Department on both of these cases. I think what is evident in the count complaint that was issued against Mr. Evans, first and foremost, that he is facing a significant penalty for this action. But most importantly, what it demonstrates is that one individual that is bent on committing serious crime can cause a huge disproportionate impact on a particular neighborhood. And what we've learned is that we have to work very closely together to identify those individuals that are bent on causing that kind of a disruption and that sense of fear in a neighborhood. Nothing works better in our experience than the teams that are developed right at the district level. And what I'm proud to announce today is that thanks to federal funding, we have been able to reintroduce a community prosecutor into District Number 7. Nicole Sheldon is present. She worked very closely with the District 7 team in identifying this particular problem, and she personally drafted the complaint and will make sure that it is properly supervised as it proceeds through the criminal justice system. There is, of course, a presumption of innocence until the final adjudication in this matter. Secondly, I just want to point out that, again, with respect to the Walgreens cases, what we're increasingly dependent upon is the cooperation of other agencies. The work that the Milwaukee Police Department has done in both of these cases is going to have a beneficial effect, not just for the city of Milwaukee, but it is going to benefit the citizens throughout this entire county, because we are convinced that individuals like the two that are represented in these cases commit their crimes in more locations than just one. And this type of MO, particularly preying on elderly people, causes a great amount of concern, and we're going to put whatever resources needed to hold those people accountable. So again, congratulations to all the officers, detectives, and to the administration for our focus on this, and you're going to see more of it in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. District Attorney. I'm also going to introduce Steve O'Connell. He's from the Milwaukee Block Watch Council. He's also done a lot of work in the Sherman Park neighborhood. He's a terrific community partner. I mean, you know, we can talk all we want about proactive police work, data-driven policing, problem-solving efforts, but the community-based piece means we have to have practical and working relationships with groups of citizens in their own protection. The first line of defense in crime control is informal social control and engaged neighborhoods. Our job as a police department is to create neighborhoods that can do that. But one neighborhood that can and has done that is the Sherman Park area, where Steve O'Connell has lived and worked for quite some time. And it's that model that we really want to see replicated in other parts of the city through effective block watches. So I'd like Steve to have a few words to say, please.
Good afternoon. I'm the block watch captain in the 3800 block of North 56th and 55th Street. And I've been the block watch captain almost 23 years over there in that neighborhood. One of the things that's always been important to me is our monthly crime and safety meetings. And at the last meeting, we had an elderly woman who came to the meeting. And we were going through the meeting, and I could hear someone kind of crying behind me, and I turned around, and it was one of our older adults. And she had been a victim of one of these robberies. And as soon as the meeting was over, the captain was right there to talk to her and to take her statement. And I think that's important when older adults can come to these meetings and trust the captain that something's going to get done. More often than not, they'll come to meetings and we hear a lot of these concerns, and it takes a while before the police step into action and follow up. But this time, right there on the spot, she had a chance to tell her story, and right away the 7th District went into action to try to arrest the person. The second thing that I have come to realize, neighborhoods are built on stable residents. The stable residents in the Sherman Park neighborhood are generally older adults. They own their home, they've lived there all these years, and they relish that time in their neighborhood. Protecting them, I think, is essential. They are the bedrock of communities. Children grow up, they come back and visit their grandparents in these neighborhoods, and if they get a good sense of that neighborhood, when they have children, they're going to think about moving into a stable neighborhood like Sherman Park. And so taking care of older adults, going the extra mile, I think is commendable. And to arrest somebody, Chief, you are to be commended, because that is the type of thing that our residents need to know, that the police are going to be proactive. And Captain Jessup, I can't tell you how important it is that you come to the next meeting and our residents know that this individual has been arrested and that action's been taken. And that's just the end of this week. So I think this will be a real important message to our adults. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. And
We